William Levis the third, just made that up, 4 touchdowns. By the way, without looking, Brinson, I'll ask you, how many touchdowns does Ryan Tannehill have this year through the air?
2. We mentioned on the broadcast several times. He had 2.
He got quadrupled up, doubled up by old Will Levis there. He had 4. The first touchdown was a great throw to D-Hop. The second one was a little shallow there that D-Hop had to make a pretty tough catch on, but whatever, it counts. 2 other touchdowns were down the field. They were pretty wide open. But again, credit to Will Levis. Absolutely balled out. I'm actually happy for him. And I told Pete this. Pete Prisco has been on Will Levis for what feels like years now. I said, Pete, I need you to quit talking to me about Will Levis because I want him to do well. But you make me hate people that I don't want to hate.
100%, dude. It is.
So
I'm like, they're like cutting to Will Levis throwing bombs. I'm like, Pete is going to be insufferable.
Yeah, he makes it worse on people that you want to pull for. But go ahead. Talk about what Will Levis did and what this means perhaps for the long-term future of this franchise.
I mean, look, I think that what's weird is like Levis was behind Malik Willis in the preseason and in the offseason and was clearly the number 3 quarterback. And he gets a first start. They bring in Willis on the first series, I think on either 3rd or 4th down. He fumbles. And so then Levis decides to start throwing bombs. And he's like what? I mean, you're the draft guru, but I mean, I feel like the sort of the overarching viewpoint of Will Levis was like, this guy's got a cannon, more accurate than Anthony Richardson, but needs to work on the short yardage accuracy, can certainly push the ball downfield. And then DeAndre Hopkins looked like old school DeAndre Hopkins. Now you could have definitely called offensive pass interference on the first one.
No, that's okay. He hadn't scored a touchdown all year.
What's that?
He hadn't scored a touchdown all year. Let him have his moment.
Well, he got 3 on Sunday. And like, I think that it's fascinating how something like this, and we'll see how long this Levis thing can keep going. But I mean, look, Will Levis is rumored to go number 1 overall. He was like minus 200 to go number 1 overall at one point during the draft process.
I can tell you a quick, sorry to interrupt. Let me tell you this quick story though. After day 1, I talked to some people that knew such things. Day 1 of the draft. So day 2, Will Levis is yet to be drafted. He gets drafted 33rd overall, the second pick of the second round. And I heard from a pretty reliable source that the Colts at number 4 were thinking it was either going to be AR5 or Will Levis. Will Levis very easily could have gone 4th overall.
Ursay was making them take a quarterback.
So, right. And I think they took the right quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Obviously he's hurt, but anyway, so it's not like he was going to be a 2nd round pick. I had heard also that Will Levis's camp, quote unquote, was concerned that he might slip, and he did slip because he got by 4, but don't be confused. He had every chance to be a 1st round pick.
Yeah. The issue was there were not a ton of teams desperate for a quarterback. Tennessee had
Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yeah, and there were 3 other guys that got drafted too, right? Except, back then it was like just him and Alex Smith. And Levis slipped, and the Titans liked him. There was rumors that the Titans would trade up, further up in the 1st round to get Levis because they liked him. He's a Mike Vrabel type of guy. Pete Prisco, we don't like when Pete is right. Nobody likes that. But he also has been, he knows football. He's kind of been pretty good, spot on quarterbacks lately. He nailed Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, 2 quarterbacks with like a similar like big arm, controversial type of skill set, quarterbacks that he's an alpha, got fire in his belly. And if Levis is the guy, and let's just hold, let's pause it a little bit and let's see how he does, moving forward over the next few weeks, because there's not a ton to work with. Although it does sound like Hopkins and now Derrick Henry won't be traded, which is a huge plus if you're Will Levis. If he's the guy, this changes everything about the Titans, who look like they might be in a free fall to tank for Caleb Williams or Drake May.
Well, yeah, I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be. Breach, let me ask you quickly before we move on, because you are a Nashville correspondent. What is the temperature on Will Levis after this performance, if you've been out and about on town with your pickle suit on? And number 2, what's going to happen Thursday night when Will Levis has to go to Pittsburgh and beat the crap out of the Steelers without?
Well, the temperature is that everyone loves him. And the answer to question number 2 is that no one is going to love him after Thursday night. Look, this felt like Will Levis said, we have this great receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm just going to chuck up a couple balls to him. Because you look at...
Not hard.
Exactly. And maybe Ryan Tannehill needs to take some notes from the rookie quarterback. If you look at Levis did the rest of the game, he threw for 110 yards when he threw to any receiver not named DeAndre Hopkins. Mike Tomlin's a smart coach. The Steelers have a good defense. What are they going to do? You know what? Let's make sure this guy doesn't throw it to DeAndre Hopkins, and let's see how he plays then. And so I do think that Levis is going to get he's going to struggle against the Steelers defense. Maybe he throws a couple long bombs, but I think the most interesting, and not to kind of go down another rabbit hole here, but do the Falcons have a QB issue here? I mean, I know that Desmond Ridder didn't play in the second half due to a concussion, but let's not forget, in the first half, the Falcons did absolutely nothing. They scored 3 points. They totaled 89 yards. Taylor Heineke plays the second half, brings them back in the game. They total 253 yards, and he was moving the ball up and down the field. If you're Arthur Smith, you have to at least consider letting Heineke have another start, maybe?
Well, Heineke didn't have a single start yet.
Or let him start a game.
And I'm not saying that he shouldn't consider it. I'm just telling you what I think Arthur Smith is going to do, which is keep starting Desmond Ridder. He said after the game, Des was not pulled for performance purposes or reasons. It was because he didn't feel like he was right out there, that he'd suffered what they thought might be a concussion. He was went into the concussion protocol, was evaluated, was cleared, and went back out there. And Arthur Smith just didn't feel like he was right. Now, I'm not saying he won't change his mind later this week. And I'm not saying they don't have a problem. I'm just saying I think Arthur Smith is all in on Desmond Ridder.
By the way, just shave the beard. You could be Arthur Smith for Halloween.